Hello, everybody, and welcome back to BSITV. We have a new series launching today that we're calling Bowling Versus, where we have multi-sport athletes on that happen to be bowlers so that we can have an open and honest discussion about the differences and similarities between bowling and some other sports and other competitive events. Today, we have collegiate bowler and BSI staffer, Lucas Francis. Lucas, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Welcome to the channel. So tell us a little bit about you. Where do you go to school? What's your background? And what the sport we're going to be discussing today is baseball. So tell us a little bit about your background in that as well.
All right. So I am a current junior here at Purdue University, bowling collegiately. I'm studying natural resources and environmental science with a focus and minor in environmental engineering. With bowling, collegiately, I've been bowling here for 3 years since I'm a junior, but I've been bowling competitively for a very long time, since I've been around 11 or 12 years old. Looking into the baseball side of things, I've played baseball my entire life, starting when I was probably 3 or 4 years old, and I played all the way up through high school at various levels, playing travel ball during the summers and high school baseball all the way through my high school career. But what ultimately led me to bowl in college compared to play baseball is just my enjoyment for the game compared to baseball, and it took me to the next level.
Yeah, understood. I mean, it seems like you kind of had a preference in terms of your own participation in the sport of bowling. I had to make the same decision once upon a time. I played baseball at a pretty high level myself, and I'm 5'9" and right-handed. I'm not exactly the athletic specimen that you are. So one of the things that factored into my choice was, bowling was going to be able to be a sport for life, where baseball, I felt like I had a very finite end. I mean, even if I played collegiately, the conclusion of that was going to be the conclusion of that, and maybe you would have had the chance to play a little longer than I did, but certainly I don't think either one of us is playing hardball well into our 60s. And that's one of those things with bowling. People talk about golf the same way, things like that. So what positions did you play? So we can get into maybe some of the similarities between say I like to say a closed kinetic chain, a singular motion. There's certainly a lot of elements of that in baseball. So where were you on the diamond, Lucas?
All right, so since I'm left-handed, I didn't have a ton of options. And if you've played baseball, you kind of understand why and how the game's kind of set up that way. But being left-handed, I pitched, playing first base, and played in the outfield.
Yeah, that track. Just all the lefty boxes. Put a check mark next to it.
Yeah, the only ones that are allowed.
Yeah, the three gloves that go in the bag.
Right. Right. Always had three at all times for whatever I was playing that specific day.
So I was a pitcher myself. So let's start there. What are some of the things that you feel are similar, and what are some of the things that you feel are key differences between a pitching motion and a bowling motion?
All right. So first of all, I would definitely say routine. And in like any game, having a pre-shot routine or a anything routine before you're actually going to do the movement or a physical activity is so important. It allows you just to get into a routine and to get in a rhythm. And ultimately, I think that leads to a player's success. So in baseball, at least, getting a deep centering breath when you're on the mound, for example, really locking eyes with the catcher and your target, figuring out what you're going to throw, taking a deep breath, and then just committing to the action or movement that you've done so many times. And that's definitely, you can compare that to bowling, whether that's when you wipe off your ball, when you pick it off the rack, wipe your shoe, take a deep breath when you're on the approach, say some reassuring words right before you're about to throw. That's very comparable. It's very similar. Getting in that rhythm, that routine, just leads to success.
Yeah, so I love that you went right to the mental side too. That deep breath that you talk about. It's so important for all athletes, but especially ones that are using a repetitive motion. I know for myself, one of the biggest adjustments that I had to make, one of the biggest differences mentally, is when you're on the mound, you're trying in a sense to be more perfect, because there's really only two outcomes, right? There's strike and there's ball, and you don't really get punished for error margin on a miss. Where in bowling, you get punished for whatever our equivalent is of bouncing one in the dirt, right? On the baseball side, it's just a ball. On the bowling side, it's a 4 count, right? So
Right.
the margin of error plays a much bigger role. Was that ever a factor for you?
I'm sure it was at one point or another. You're not always going to be perfect. There's going to be mistakes, but finding ways to limit those mistakes as much as possible by focusing on small parts of the game rather than the big picture, trusting what you do know and what you can control. But once the ball's out of your hand, once it's on the lane, everything you've done is already over with, and there's nothing else you can control. So just doing whatever you can in your power before that foul line leads to success, and it's over with. Once it's gone, once it's off your hand, it's gone. So limiting errors physically before the line definitely can relate to that.
So to me, like the biggest similarities between baseball and bowling lie in hitting and pitching, because it's as you referenced, a repetitive motion, a closed, or as I was saying before, a closed motion. But what's very different in baseball is that we do those things, right? Ball comes out of your hand, now you're a fielder.
Mm-hmm.
You swing that bat, now you're a base runner.
Mm-hmm.
And in bowling, that ball's out of your hand, now you're an observer, right? So you no longer have an active athletic role to play. Has there been a mindset difference for you on that? I know for me it was pretty seamless, but have any of those things played a role for you?
I would say yes, because the game definitely changes a little bit. For example, when you throw a shot and you don't get the outcome that you'd like, there's still work to be done. So you have to go pick up that spare, do whatever, fill the frame, and move on. And the mindset between the first ball and the second ball ultimately should be the same. It should be make the best shot you can. But sometimes, depending on situations or outcomes in general, that can change. It might be, hey, instead of trying to make the split, let's just get count because it's a close match or something's going on or you need to make a cut. So it might not be perfect and go make whatever's out there, but just give you the best chance of succeeding.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, from a coaching point of view, a little less on the mental side, a little more on the mechanical side. I love when I get the chance to work with former ball players. I mean, being a women's coach, I get some people that have a little bit of a softball background, but a lot of the same mechanics where I love when people have an understanding of how to create downforce, how to use their base, really get off their trail side. I mean, here I'll kind of demonstrate. If you're hitting, right, you're here and you're rotating around.
Right.
I think that's something that for especially for younger youth bowlers doesn't get emphasized enough.
Mm-hmm.
What are the athletic elements on the physical end that have helped make you the bowler that you are? What came easier to you than maybe some other bowlers because of your baseball background?
I would definitely say incorporating my legs into the game. Pitching, there's such an emphasis on you using your legs, generating your power from your legs, and I think that is a great comparison to bowling. With a power step or a like a hop step for two-handers, generating that power through your legs, creating that motion with your hips and your quads, and using them to get into the lane and generating that power is very detrimental to the success and the current state of bowling. You see a lot of the people's games today, a lot of the professionals with a lot of ball speed, a lot of power, very high rev rates, and majority of that is generated through legs. So I feel like that's definitely an underrated portion of sports, and especially in bowling.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Sometimes I joke with people that have you ever realized that no matter what sport you're trying to learn, there's some very well-meaning person telling you to keep your knees bent?
Yeah, always.
For that. But no, I think you hit the nail on the head. And once once you understand how to use your base to not just stabilize yourself, but to generate power, I think you've got the foundation of, not just baseball and bowling, but many sports. I really think that's, it's just how you're generating force in a way that leads to an intended purpose. Having seen you bowl, I could definitely say that your understanding of that has played a role for you. All right, give me a few examples of like let's go pitching mechanics, hitting mechanics, and bowling mechanics. Whether they're professionals or maybe international players, whoever you see as like models that might be good for people learning to maybe not necessarily emulate, but really get some eyes on and understand their elements. Who are some models for you?
Right. So looking baseball, let's start there. You obviously see baseball players having huge legs, and one of the main people I think of is someone like a Bryce Harper or something like that. I'm a Phillies fan, so I'm a little biased, but Bryce is a great example of how someone uses like those legs, like we've talked about, to generate power, a stable, like a centering motion, being able to stay balanced, and all of those things for a hitter's perspective is extremely important. Like I said, it generates power, consistency, all of those things. Same thing from a pitcher, someone like a Zach Wheeler on the Phillies, having that posture and control on the mound, using those centering breaths, using those legs to generate that power on the mound and consistency. And when you look at a bowler and you look at the professional tour, you never see a bowler that's off balanced. You never see someone at the line that doesn't look stable. And you always see bowlers using that hop step or their power step to generate that power at the line. Someone like an EJ Tackett, who's the best in the world, does that better than anybody. And if you look across the professional tour, across the national tour, regional tour, you see people doing those things every day, every time they throw a shot.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, the two models I tend to use in the men's world on the bowling side when I'm teaching are for two-handers. I find Kyle Troop to be very compact, where he's generating a lot of power from minimal movement, and then on the one-handed side, the more traditional side, I tend to name Christopher Prather a lot. I find that his again, there's very little wasted movement. But you're talking about legs. I mean, I hate to do this to you as a Phillies fan, but Spencer Strider, man, like
I mean, you're
he's
right.
got quads the size of Mars.
You're right. That guy's a little different. He's a little different.
Well, he amazes me for the same reason. I'm obviously a little older than you, but the same reasons Tim Lincecum used to amaze me, which is and I'm not going to do a mechanical breakdown of the freak here. Lincecum definitely had a lot going on, but what I find interesting about him, Strider, and some other guys out there is that they're not on these big frames, right? They're shorter players. They have to find different ways to generate their velocity, and yet Strider's running it up there 99, 100, and Lincecum, he was sitting 95, 96 at the time when that was actually pretty quick. I mean, obviously baseball has changed a lot in the past decade that way, but is there a I mean, you're on the other side of the lane there from EJ. Is there a player that you watched a lot of as you were becoming a more competitive bowler?
When I was a little smaller and wasn't as tall and filled out, Parker Bone, the simplicity of the left-handed game, the consistency. I've known Parker for a very long time. He's a Hall of Famer. He's one of the best to ever throw a ball. He's just one of the best to ever do it. And being left-handed, why wouldn't you want to be someone who does it better than anyone else? But as the game has developed, and to be a more power and speed dominant, rev rate driven bowler, you see someone like an EJ Tackett, and you take the best of both worlds. I mean, he's right-handed, I'm left-handed, but he's doing something right now. And if you can incorporate some of those movements into your own game, why wouldn't you want to do it?
I love that you named Parker because, first of all, an absolute gentleman and an ambassador for our sport, and I have all the admiration in the world for him and the career he's had. But I think he's also mechanically one of the most misunderstood bowlers. I think it's very easy to watch him on a video and see this trail leg extension that looks very accentuated, and then a young person without the proper guidance might try to go emulate that, and they're that trail leg is sweeping out and getting all the way to the side, and you trying to overcome that balance and rotate through the shot. And if you actually do like a breakdown of Parker, what you realize is that trail leg's not extended to his side; it's extended behind him.
Right.
He's taking this really efficient power step and then creating a lot of spacing as he gets into his slide. And I think from a lot of video angles, it looks like this old timey idea of like clear the trail leg, get it way out of the way, and it's actually really not what he's doing. I mean, it definitely, his hip definitely clears, and he's athletic enough to rotate his core through. But I always found that element, because it's so visually striking in his motion, to be something that's that's very misunderstood when people try to, I mean, it's natural, right? Like who? All right, growing up, I'm sure you played some wiffle ball. Whose batting stance did you imitate, right? Like
changed by the day, honestly. Changed by the day, whoever was going good that day. But yeah, you're right. There's definitely some misconception in that. The simplicity of his game, he's just been able to master it, and there's no one to really do it better on the left side. But you're right. Definitely some misconception in that, but there's nobody better to do it.
All right, so how old were you when you went to your first Phillies game?
Definitely young. I would say somewhere in elementary school, if not younger.
All right, who was your guy? Like who was your player?
I mean, Cliff Lee is always up there. Chase Utley, some of those guys on their World Series run in 2008. That's when I started. Like, I was only 5 at the time, but that's when I was starting to remember some names and pick up on some players, and that team was incredible. So yeah, honestly, basically just that 2008 World Series team is pretty significant in my baseball knowledge and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's it was definitely a well put together ball club. So I'm not going to apologize for '09. I'm a Yankee fan.
That's all right. They're pretty good too.
Yeah, no, hey, I mean, we haven't won since, so you guys have definitely enjoyed a little more sustained relevance than we're trying to get back. I mean, they're looking pretty good this year, but we'll see what happens. Sorry about Alvarado there. Dombrowski's gonna have to go get a bullpen piece, huh?
Yeah, I'd like one around the All-Star break. I definitely think that would help out the club a little bit.
Yeah. Well, if for anybody who does watch the Phillies, I'm going to wrap this up by saying I hope no world events precipitate any Castellanos home runs anytime soon.
I mean, hopefully not, but hopefully still able to hit some out at some point.
yeah, just for good reasons, right?
Just for the good reason. That's all.
We are up against the time here, so I am going to wrap this up. But Lucas, I just want to give you a moment here. Anybody you'd like to thank in your journey? Any shout outs you want to give? The floor is yours.
Definitely BSI for everything that they've done for me. Recruit us. They're doing some great things as well. Looking forward to seeing the future of both of those companies, both of those brands. Everyone here at Purdue that's given me great opportunities in the bowling world. My head coach, Ryan Mooney, all of my teammates, and ultimately my family as well for always supporting me, always giving me the best opportunity to be the best student, athlete, and just person that I can be.
Lucas, thank you so much for joining us today on Bowling Versus on BSI TV. We really appreciate the conversation. Good luck in the upcoming collegiate season. We'll be checking back in with you, but congratulations on an awesome year. I saw you really lit it up, especially at a couple specific events, man. Those are some numbers you put up. Keep rocking and rolling. Keep good luck at the regional. I understand you have a regional coming up.
Right. Yep. I'm leaving for it right after this.
Bowl well, do your thing out there, and we'll talk to you soon. But thank you for joining us. Everybody, thank you for tuning in to BSI TV. We hope you enjoyed Bowling Versus, and until next time,